On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, we learn Susan's top quarterly goal is, I'm not going to take your bib out anymore, Mr. Roman.
And Liz's latest TripAdvisor review, she found the lack of ectoplasm disappointing. Let's do this. Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz.
And this week we're going to talk season 7, episode 9.
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
I don't know. Yeah,
you got
my
it.
notes are wrong. It said season 7. I said it backwards in my notes. So, how to win friends and influence monsters.
Yeah, I do that a lot. Like, just flip numbers. Like, there's a lot of folder mistakes, and like I try and keep like our videos and shit like organized on my extra external hard drives, but you know, like, so they like, I try and mimic what we have on our other, because we have multiple platforms, because I'm like Bobby, paranoid bastard, and like there are things that are like backed up. Like, I don't know what archive like is, the world will be doomed if Devil's Trap Podcast ever gets lost, but there are like 17 million different copies of us published in the world.
Our legacy will live on.
So maybe that is the only thing that the aliens find, and all of culture and humanity is defined by the show. Oh, and it can be like Bill and Ted's, where we get, you know, they worship us in the future.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. That'll be cool.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Well, I just did what apparently is a lot of people's dreams, and I went to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado last weekend, and it was baller. It really was. And it's just, nature's a showy bitch. And so driving out there was fun-ish. I'm very glad, like, I've been in that area before, and I was a passenger, and it was snowing, and I did not appreciate it. Right. This time, though, it was, for the most part, fairly decent weather. The drive back was a little rainy, but like, I'm very glad that I was not doing that drive in snow or in rain, because it's just like switchbacks. Is that the word? I don't know.
Oh yeah, fuck that.
Where it's just like, and it's like really cool and pretty. I mean, just like, it's gorgeous, like, because you're just driving through like a mountain. Is what it is. Yeah. And so, but it's full of wildlife and like just pretty babbling rivers, and so it's just like a really nice drive. But you also have to be like in it. So in a way, it's kind of nice, like, right? It's like you're like, I was like listening to like podcasts and stuff and going through that. And so I went and stayed up at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, which is the inspiration for The Shining, and they are very, very proud of that. There, you know, but like the tour groups, oh my God, I texted you, like the tour groups there are so big, and it's just weird, because I'm like, where are you people coming from? I mean, Estes Park is not that big. Like, it's a small mountain town. But I guess there was also, like, the Scottish festival was going on in town. So I guess people just do it. Like, you go to the Rocky Mountains, then you go to the Shining Hotel, right? So the campus is huge. Like, there's multiple buildings. Like, I stayed in a whole separate place.
Oh, wow.
That had, you know, basically, it was like a 4-story brand new building, but because it was brand new, it also had the pool, it had the jacuzzi, and air conditioning, because the Stanley Hotel is original and does not have air conditioning, which is fine, but also like not great, right? If you're a sweaty, humid person like me. So I went up there, saw Frank Turner play in this like really, really awesome venue. It really looks like one of, like, it's just like, I kept texting Diana, I'm like, you should operate, like, it looks like one of the venues that Diana operates. Just that kind of
pool vibe.
Yeah, like, so, like, the downstairs was just, like, open floor, but you could tell, like, it was, like, dance floor, like, ballroom material, kind of, you know, and, like, really high ceilings that all had these weird, like, octopus, like, glass sculptures on them that were, like, LED lights.
It looked like Chihuly stuff, kind of.
Like Cthulhu?
Chihuly, the glass artist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that. I don't know what that is. I'm like, what is that? Because I was just like, it looked like Cthulhu.
That too. I mean,
but it did, because they look like octopus arms. They look like I think there was LED lights in there, but they weren't turned on, so I couldn't tell, right? And the backdrop, oh my god, it had this teal velvet curtain, and I could not, because it was night, I couldn't get the color captured in my camera. Like, I couldn't get like the hue to like it was very obnoxious, because, like, I guess our phones just filter so much shit. Like, I was just like, I couldn't get, like, anything down to get a true color of the teal. But it was like my sofa, but just, like, super saturated. It was fucking fabulous. And I just wanted to, like, hey, wanted it all over my house. Yes, it was a peacock blue. It was just, And the upstairs, does the Heights have 2 floors? Yeah. So the upstairs was like, it was a small, basically like 2 rows of seats, and but just all the way in the back of the building. So there wasn't one on the side. Yeah. So the side, like, basically kept the architecture of it. So you had, like, the windows and stuff. And also, like, you fucking pussies who were at this show. Like, so at the show, and the opening band, God bless you, man. Like, you were for someone. You're not for me. I don't care about the flowers. I mean, I love flowers, but, like...
But...
I ain't singing about the dandelions, like, not in that way. So, God bless you, man. So I'm, like, watching him, and I was like, I need to get out of here. And, like, so there is a door, too, because this is an old, like, it's a beautiful old building. It almost looks very southern. And there's a door to the veranda, which is outside patio. And, like, nobody was out there. I was like, why is nobody on this thing? So, weird. Like, I think everyone was afraid to go out there. Like, they thought, like, it was off limits or something. And I was like, fuck you, I'm going outside. So I was like, went outside with my, at that point I was drinking a Course Banquet. And this is very important that people know what I was drinking beer wise. And so I was drinking Course Banquet, and that was very expensive and very tiny for, like, a very expensive little beer. And then finally everyone was like, girl, I guess I can go outside. And so then, like, the whole back, then it got swamped. And I was like, I was out here by myself, and it was very nice.
People just known they could have rotated out of there in a very, like, small groups, but instead they all came at once.
I was just like, it just annoys me. It's like, what? None of you had the balls to come out here, and now you're ruining my time. So Frank Turner was good. The crowd was lovely. And the next night, well, I got a massage by this dude who, like, holy Batman, beat the crap out of me. Like, at one point I was like, I need a tissue because you actually beat the snot out of me, because he was doing the thing where like the thing on your back, which feels so good, and, like, snot is just, like, pouring out of my face and puddling on the floor beneath me. And, like, it's very hard to concentrate in your massage when you're just like,
there's my snot puddle.
There's my snot puddle just, like, right in front of me.
Staring at your snot puddle.
This dude's in socks. He's gonna step in my snot puddle. Anyway, so I have a massager, and then so that night I went to go. They do magic shows at the Stanley and in different places there, like, part of their events. And one of the magic shows is a seance. So, like, I show up, and first off, like, they were very adamant that you had to be sober. So I tried to be sober. Did not succeed, but I tried. And so, but I go looking for this, right? Because it's like, it says, you know, like, go meet at blah, blah, blah. So I go to like this very big campus, and they're like, and the person of the ticket thing says, "Oh no, that's in the other building, like down the street." I was like, "Oh shit!" So I'm like flying down there in my like little punk rock Cinderella from hell or whatever, because I'm in my black, gorgeous dress, and I got to wear my spider web necklace, which is always a fun thing. And I'm like, "Oh, I must go to my seance," and so I'm going down the hill, and then my phone rings. They're like, "No, bitch, it's up here," and I'm like, "Why did you send me that?" So then I had to and Diana's supposed to like I'm going through some mobility issues with my feet, and like also hill, so I had to walk back up this goddamn hill. At least thankfully I'm just like in my docs, because that's how I dress up these days. So like I get up there and I'm like the last person into the seance. So like I get sat next to the medium.
Oh, lucky you.
Lucky me. And so, but I also think it probably looks like I was staged, right? Because here comes like this gothic looking bitch who comes running in,
running late
at the end.
Running in.
Oh, I'm so sweaty.
Sorry. Apologize for my tardiness.
Yes, so you must forgive me. I'm awful clumsy, and so like they go through it like, and he asked things like on cards and stuff. I just kept forgetting like what card like I'd pulled, but I just like played it off. I'm like, yeah. Whatever. So I like failing. So that it was fun, but I learned a lot about the house, which I probably should have paid more attention to. But so I think that the founders of that place had to be spiritualist or spiritualist adjacent, and probably should have checked more into it. Like there was just things that he was talking about that they did in the house that I was like, oh, like I know your role, like I know what you were doing. So, but a lot of the things that were like in the seance that were, so there's supposed to be like an old seance. So I wish he'd done more, like more knocking, more like more table, like just like the older, like the pull out the old tricks, man. Like give me some ectoplasm for your vagina. Like he didn't have a vagina, but like still like ectoplasm from somewhere would have been nice, So that was cool.
The lack of ectoplasm was disappointing, apparently.
The lack of ectoplasm was disappointing.
Can you write that in your review?
Actually, I need that on a fucking t-shirt. Like, probably that should be my review. Like, it will be the review of every paranormal thing I go on in the future. So after that, I realized that I had not gone into the labyrinth, which would have been a tragedy because this is my last thing there. So there is a very famous hedge maze that is out in front of the Overlook or the Stanley. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to go hang out in this hedge maze. And so while I was frolicking in there, like I do, I ran into some other people who were frolicking like they did. And we just became good friends. And just like like I do sometimes at 1:00 in the morning, I don't know. Like I said, I tried to stay sober, and that's the only time I'm friendly is when I'm not. So me and these people like start hanging out. We end up like hanging out inside, and like one of them, Beth, like I'm just mad that I couldn't get their contact details. And so if you're listening, somehow find your way to this, Beth. Yes. Find my contact details, slide into my DMs. I do not remember anybody else's name. So, don't remember anyone else's, like, and one of, like, Beth's dad was there, and he reminded me of my dad. It was just, like, very fun. So, like, they also turned out, though, that they were part of the production company team that was putting on the Frank Turner event and have been hanging out with Frank Turner all week. And so kind of like indication that they were going to go hang out with Frank Turner in a little bit. And so it's like, well, I'm going to continue hanging out with you folks. But also like, I just genuinely like these people, and I was having a good time. It hadn't been really social all weekend. Then the guy who runs this production company came up, and he was a dick to me. And I don't remember his name, but he pulled away my new friends and took them away from me. I do know that he says he books like venues like all over in Dallas and other places. But I have looked on all of the tickets or other things like and couldn't find a production company mark. There was no presents. I went through like all the Facebook comments like for this to see if like they didn't need like mentions of Frank Turner to see if there was any like cross promotion that somebody did. No, couldn't find that. Went through Instagram, kind of did the same thing. Look, I am a nosy bitch and I will find it. But I just know like what will happen one day, and this is going to be my Pretty Woman moment, is one day Diana is going to be sitting in her boss-ass bitch job, and this little dick is going to come calling in. I don't remember his name. It was probably some white boy name, like, Matt, Christie, whatever. And he's going to come in, and she's going to see on there that is like, he's like, like, this is like my credentials, whatever. He's like, oh yeah, like I booked like this tour at the Stanley for Frank Turner, and it was very successful. And then he's going to want to do something in like her things, and she's going to look at that and go, you're the dick. And then he's not going to get like whatever he wants at one of your venues. And then you're going to call me, and we're going to be like, fuck that guy. I had, that's my whole revenge thing that went through my head the rest of the weekend. Took away my friends. It's rude.
Right.
Well, it was really like, it was more the attitude that he didn't like, that I was a nobody. I'm like, who the
rude.
It's just rude, and you never know. Like, don't be a dick, man.
Never know.
You never know who you're talking to, and someday that's gonna bite you in the fucking ass. And I can't wait for that karma day to come around, because I will it to be. Yeah. Anyways, that was my weekend. Don't piss off at a witch when she's at the Stanley Hotel. Like, that seems really stupid.
That also seems questionable. Yeah, like, take in the surroundings, sir. Take in the surroundings.
Take in the surroundings. Look at me in the spiderweb necklace. How dare you, sir? You see them gorgeous. Yes, how dare
I just came from a seance.
Sir. I also think like doing that seance job, wouldn't that be a fun retirement? Like, just like you get to keep like having a job and working, but like you just hang out and like see ghosts. It's super fun.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anyways, I knew this was going to be a little, but they're not real ghosts.
You don't know.
It's true. You could call them in, but then that would be to me, it's like, then it'd be a fun adventure. Then you have a fun, spooky adventure. Ghosts are our friends. All right. So what have you been up to?
Absolutely nothing, because I got some gunky cold stuff, and finally I'm over it. So I've been doing jack shit. Cleaned out my medicine cabinet at the house. Important stuff, that kind of shit. So, been very quiet in my world as I prep for a very busy and weird few weeks / month-ish. So, yeah, that's about it.
You're not going to do your promo?
I mean, the big thing to prep for is the Invasion Car Show, invasioncarshow.com, in Deep Ellum on Saturday, September 23rd. Gates open at 10 a.m. We've got a pinup contest in the afternoon. We've got awards. Then we've got an after party with low straitjackets and more at Trees, Deep Ellum, Dallas, treesdallas.com.
Diana will answer the question. How smelly are those masks? That's all I want to know.
I don't want to know.
Oh, man.
But we do have a theme going because one of the opening bands wears gorilla masks, so now we're going to have a mask off.
They're going to smell so bad. It's still so hot. It's so hot.
It is lovely today. It was not hot, so I can't complain at all.
I think it was so nice, and like I didn't sweat for like 3 days. It was wonderful.
You sent me the temperature. It was below 60. That's cold. Fuck that.
No, and the daytime, it was like got to like be about like mid 80s, right? But that was like by late afternoon. So the mornings and the evenings like got chilly really fast. So like then it got down to like I think like upper 40s, if not like low 50s. But like that was just like. Sorry, I went down it. But it was just really nice to see stars again. Like when you haven't seen like full stars in a while, just like, oh yeah, like nice, and I saw like a shooting star, or it was a comet, or it was UFOs.
One of those. SpaceX. I don't know.
Oh god. Oh, why isn't it just Elon Musk crashing? Okay, so this episode, season 7, episode 9, How to Win Friends and Influence Monsters. That is a play on the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That was first published in 1936.
Oh wow,
it's really old. Like I mean. Anyways, so this first aired November 18th, 2011. It was directed by Guy B. And we last saw him direct episode 2 this season, Hello Crew World, and was written by Ben Edlund, which just explains like why our writing in this episode, as Diana said, it is really good until it's not.
Yeah, this episode's super fun.
And it's not that it's bad. It's just not fun. It is the it is the opposite.
It's super fun, and then it's
the
opposite
of fun. Yes,
correct. Yeah,
yep. So we start off with a badass generator in the woods.
We got some motherfucking glamping going on.
That generator, holy shit! One, like that smelled really bad, and like that was a lot of gasoline you guys are burning, but also.
A lovely, lovely glamping setup. That's the type of camping I could get behind these days. That's about it. I'm not a camper.
But I'm like, why do you have sleeping bags? Like, just put a fucking duvet on that shit. Like,
well, that's true too.
If you're gonna pack,
just trying to be a little authentic.
I was like, if you're going to pack a sleeping bag, pack a fucking duvet.
That's very reasonable. But something's running through the woods and stalking these glampers in their lovely, lovely.
Yeah,
place.
And as
tent thing.
I thought it was more of a cabin thing. I don't know. Maybe it was a yurt. But so one of them, though, he's listening to the sounds of nature in the forest. And that was the real Bob Singer, was not Bobby Singer, but the actual like dude Bob Singer. That was him doing you're listening to the sounds of nature. Well,
that's funny. Yeah. It was funny to have them listening to the sounds of nature in nature, though.
Yes, that is also clever. That was also clever.
And then we can obviously tell something's stalking them, and then all of a sudden we cut, and there's the sleeping bag is hanging upside down from a tree, and there's something in the tree coming for this guy in his sleeping bag, and then he did.
Oh no, I'm being eaten. Chomp, chomp, chomp. And then this is the sounds of nature, is the chomping. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Yes. Chomp, chomp. And so we are in Hamilton, New Jersey, and Sam and Dean, they are
squatting 101.
Being home electricians. They are being home electricians.
They are teaching squatting 101, which is how to get electricity in a shack.
Okay.
These are all good things you need to know, just in case.
Sure. They're just trying to stay off the grid, and so they're using car battery cables to try to start up the power board at this house, which doesn't seem safe. But anyways, Bobby and Dean is not into this shit, though. He is like, fuck this off the grid fucking squatting shit. Bobby's like, no, this is pretty necessary. And, but Dean's response is, what if the world wants to end?
And, he's not wrong. And granted, this is like, it's my spooky goth girl. This is like the Dean. Sometimes I kind of like this part of him. Then it's just like, you know what? It's just trying to end. Like, it keeps fucking itself up. Let's just give it what it wants.
No. But Sam's noticed that there's a new case, and they think it's been Jersey Devil sightings with these campers that, what is it? Camping high season harshed by human burrito. Is the headline in the paper. Yeah, you get it. And there's so many puns in there because it's camping high season, and then it's harsh by human burrito, because that's what people who are stoners would say. Not that I would know, but they also say that the Jersey Devil has bat wings and horns and a tail and a horse's head. But I also can't help but think of the Jersey Devil that's in What You Do in the Shadows, that like sings and dances. So that's the only Jersey Devil I can think of at this moment. But also human burrito. It's a human burrito. Well, Bobby's like, all right, well, let's just go hunt this. And Dean makes a joke about, backwoods crackheads rolling glampers.
He's just,
Sam has to explain what glamping is. So.
And Bobby was not impressed, but also Bobby's just very excited to go hunting in the woods. And, there is just kind of this, like Bobby's a hunter. Like,
yeah, they talk about that.
Yeah. So after Bobby gets not impressed with what a glamper is, they go to Biggerson's.
Yes. And they are going to meet with Park Ranger Rick. Ranger Rick cracked me up. Do you remember Ranger Rick?
Yeah.
Okay. It was a magazine. Yeah. Anyways, it was the raccoon, Ranger Rick. Anyways, Rick is just like very high. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. He's coming across super fucking high, and it's just going on about how you got to respect Mother Nature, or she'll string you up and eat your ass right through the Gore-Tex. Noted. as a Ranger Rick.
But some people like their ass eaten. I also just enjoy the way he says burrito. So, and I think he's also the one behind. It took me a moment to really figure out what this note was. We were supposed to record this episode a couple of days ago, so I'm getting behind in this.
Yeah, I know.
But I figured out what my note says. So I said, I think he is the one behind the NPS Twitter, and that is the National Park Service
Twitter, which is hilarious.
Yes. And
I follow their Instagram at least. It's good.
Yes.
So Sam and Dean have been interviewing him, and they're just like, "Oh, this is not helpful." But Bobby enters. In the midst of this, they figured out that he did have an assistant chief ranger that has possibly been missing for a few days, but he just now kind of realized it. And Bobby pulls Sam and Dean aside, and he's like, "Yeah, I saw the body. This is not a Leviathan, and there's not enough info on a Jersey Devil, but it's not a werewolf and not a Wendigo. So what the fuck is this?" And Dean's like, okay, well, in the meantime, let's get a table. And he asks the waiter for the table, and this waiter is just a straight up dick. Like, brutal dick. Calls Dean, like, Dean's like, yeah, can we get a table for 3? And he calls him a fucking douche. Like, damn.
Sometimes you just call it like you see it. And Brandon has a lot of flair on. And my nose, I just want you to appreciate my pun here, because it said, and he gets his head bit off, and gets his head bit off, not literally. But also Sam is amused that Dean can't find his burn. He just can't.
Doesn't have it. So now we've got a jerk waiter. But as we all know, if we've highlighted a character reaction at any point, we should probably note this character. All right. So good old Brandon's going to serve them, calls Sam Big Bird, calls Dean Kendall, and calls Bobby a creepy uncle, and storms off. And they all just basically have just agreed that Ranger Rick was high as fuck as Dean digs into his sandwich, which is the pepper jack turducken slammer.
And Bobby thinks that birds shouldn't be shoved up inside of each other.
You might have a point. I don't know.
I don't know. Turducken's delicious. So, but then Brandon just rage quits.
Out of nowhere. So there we go.
After he called somebody fat.
Well, yeah, that's not very nice. So in the woods, we've got Sam, Dean, and Bobby, and this is where they're discussing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Bobby knows like how to track things because Bobby did like regular hunting before he was a hunter, capital H hunter." So it's kind of interesting. And as they're walking around, they find a body hanging from a tree. So now they know they found Rick's buddy that was missing.
Yeah, and while they're walking through the woods, like, I don't know how I feel about their gun safety. Like, they're just kind of like flopping things all around. I do want to point out that I had Bobby as going all Bear Grylls, because that is in my Google dictionary, in my Google Docs. Like, Bear Grylls is like well known enough to be, and I just wanted to point that out. That's just weird.
Nice. I like it. Well, they get Rick to come out, and he is just very slow to bother calling this in. Just very la-di-da for his like buddy's body being found. And in the meantime, he gets stalked and yanked into the woods. So that's not good. So now Ranger Rick is dead and his buddy's dead. And Sam and Dean and Bobby try to kind of run after. And Bobby's like, we got to turn off our lights to our rifles because they've got lights on their guns and it's nighttime by now. And they hear Rick being eaten. And then Bobby takes a shot and takes down whatever this thing. A body falls out of the tree for whatever was eating Rick. And it's a weird kind of blue guy. It looks like Large Marge to me. from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Anyways, and so they're like, well, that's not good. And so they leave with a monster body, like they do. Leave dead Rick, take the monster body. And they go to their cabin. And they're going to look at this monster, and they're surprised. They're like, yeah, really, it was really fast and strong, but just came down with one bullet. Cue the surprise that it ain't dead.
No.
So,
yeah.
So they have to shoot it a whole bunch.
They do.
A bunch.
A lot.
Yeah. And they dig through its pockets and find, after it's dead again, and find its wallet and figure out who it is. It's this guy. And, apparently this guy's like lost weight from the time that his ID picture was taken. which you never know. That could have been a while ago, but they're still surprised. And they're kind of trying to check this body out, and they realize that his bullet holes have some like blue goo in them, which is really gross. And they've got to cut it open now after they poke the hole with a stick. It was just a weird scene.
Yeah, I don't know why they're poking it with a stick. Like why do you have a stick? Like, wait, okay, so whatever. So Dean drinks and he gets the munchies.
Yeah. And, yeah.
Inside the stomach.
It's full of fresh Rick and a pine cone and a pack of gum and a cat's head. It's quite a array of things.
It was a whole cat's head.
That's a lot. But then they find the adrenal gland, and it is massive and discolored. So not the Jersey Devil, and it's not Gerald anymore either. And then Dean just keeps talking about being hungry, which is weird. So we go back to Biggerson's, where Sam is researching more about Gerald to figure out who the fuck this guy was, while Dean eats another turducken sandwich, and they realize that this guy, Gerald, disappeared 8 days ago. And
so, like, did you take a close look at, like, the top of that sandwich? Like, did you see the wagon wheel on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's an actual ciabatta. So, like, the production company were making all these wagon wheel ciabattas, like, to put on these sandwiches. And then, like, the inside of the turducken was apparently a veggie burger that Dean's wife, that Ackles' wife makes for him that he likes.
Oh. Well, Dean is very distracted by his sandwich and is like making a lot of eating happy noises. It's just real fucking gross. He just doesn't care about the case at all. And he just doesn't fucking care. Just doesn't care. And Sam and Bobby look around and realize that everybody is just ravenously eating these sandwiches and just oblivious to everything around them. So Sam grabs the sandwich from Dean finally, and yeah, it's just not good. So they go back to the cabin and
they go back to the cabin with a wonderful tinfoil swan, which is just adorable. I don't know why a sandwich is in a swan, but okay.
I don't either.
That's amazing. And then Dean just feels great. He doesn't care.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I've got after Cass and the black goo, I just don't care anymore. And I don't care that I don't care. I want my sandwich back.
I really will eat that sandwich. It sounds great.
Ugh.
But no. Why don't you?
Pass.
Yeah, you don't want a sandwich that gurgles.
Sitting there, gurgles and burps out blue goo.
It's just like bloop, 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 bloop. And it's just kind of funny. I was eating an omelet this weekend, and it was like a forager omelet, but it was like, so there were wild mushrooms, but the mushroom was sticking out of the egg omelet, and it kind of was like bloop, like this, but less purple gooey. But oh no, it's in the meat. Something's in the meat.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, it has to be what turned Gerald and making Dean an idiot. And Dean says, if I wasn't so chilled out right now, I would puke. Which is funny. So we're going to do a stakeout at Biggerson's distribution center. So we're going to a warehouse. Yay!
Diana's favorite place.
Dean's sleeping off his turducken high. So Sam and Bobby are going to have a talk. And they're like, Sam wants to know if Dean's really okay since Sam has gone cuckoo. Like, hey, Bobby, is Dean okay since I've lost my shit with the Lucifer stuff? And then he lost Cass. And he's just not really acting the same. And I'm worried about him. Bobby's like, y'all both worry about each other, so it's fine. And Sam's like,
I think the underscore of that was you are both codependent. Not that you worry about each other, that you're codependent.
Well, that too. But, Sam's like, no, I'm pretty good though. Like, it's, I keep all my crazy under one umbrella. I'm pretty fine. Bobby looks a little bit sus about it, but okay. And then they see a poultry truck pull in, and a man wheels cases into the building from Midwest Meat and Poultry. Okay. And while they're watching all this go down, we see we cut to a parking lot where a woman is walking to her car at night, and something is obviously stalking her. And it is. It's our waiter friend, rage quitter Brandon, comes out of the woods, slams her head into the concrete, and it's about to kill her when a car pulls up, and a man walks up and backhands him. Weird. Okay, so now something is after these monster thingies. But back at the warehouse, we've got Sam, Bobby, and Dean, who's now awake, watching this truck, make this stop. And Sam's like, it's kind of weird that a big chain is ordering from this small vendor. And a car pulls up. Who gets out of this car? Oh, fuck. It's Leviathan Edgar. That's not good. Not good. And he's got Brandon in his trunk, so he pulls him out with all of his flair.
Yeah.
Inside the factory or the warehouse, we've got Dr. Gaines back. Oh, great. And apparently there's others that are like Brandon, and it's all part of an experiment, which is mostly going well, but there's some adverse reactions. And Edgar's like, okay, burn them all. Wait, what? No, just burn them all. He's like, the Dr. Gaines is like, no, there's test data. And Edgar's like, nope, Dick Roman's coming, burn them all.
Yep. So all the peoples. Let's burn the peoples.
All the peoples.
Well, because they're all now like ferocious rage zombies.
Mm-hmm.
So in the stakeout van, Bobby wants to know how Dean's head is, and he doesn't want to talk about like how a sandwich drugged him. And again, I'm so jealous. So I went to look up to see like, can a sandwich get me high? So I'm going to quiz Diana about foods that get you high.
Fun.
I think so. So that's what this quiz is called, Food That Gets You High. Like, there could be a better name. I don't know. You can come up with it. But anyhow, you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Question number 1. 4 to 8 teaspoons of this ground up thing will give you mild hallucinations. Too much of it and you could die. What is it?
4 to 8 teaspoons.
Let me know if you need a hint.
Yeah.
The Dutch called it Nootmuscat and traded it for the island of Manhattan.
Huh.
Nootmuscat.
I don't know. I'm going to miss that one already.
Nutmeg.
We're starting poorly. Oh, duh. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what New York was worth.
Nice.
Nootmuscat. I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's how I'm saying it. All right, cool. Like question number 2. All right. When refined, you can get addicted to this white powder, especially if you like the rush.
Sugar.
That is correct. Okay. All right, so you got one. So you got one right. All right. Number 3. Ergot or ergot, I think it's ergot, which has been blamed for everything from the dancing plague, which is when in parts of Europe during the Middle Ages, people started dancing uncontrollably. Well, technically they weren't dancing, they were just convulsing in like a lot of pain, but it was kind of funny because it was like a dance that they died from. Hilarious. Yeah. So this was blamed for that and for starting the Salem witch trials, and it's a fungus, and it grows on what?
The fungus grows on wheat.
Yeah, it's rye bread. So it's like a grain, but rye's not wheat, right?
I knew it was grain adjacent. That's why I just went for the easy grain.
Yeah. So this one is something that I had to go to howtopronounce.com. And I don't know if I think it would have to load it up as a sound thing for it to come through. Let's see if you can hear this. Could you hear that? Damn, it was very loud in my ears. All right, so ichthyolinotoxism. I think that was it. Comes from eating species of what found in several parts of the tropics, the effects of which are reputed to be similar in some aspects to LSD. Experiences
Mushrooms.
can include vivid auditory and visual hallucinations.
Mushrooms.
No, it's a fish.
What? Oh.
Yeah, so that...
I was so confident, too. I was so confident.
You were very confident. You wouldn't even let me finish the thing. And you're like, mushrooms, it's shrooms. And no, ichthyoliotoxin, that is made of poison.
Yeah, it's poison. That's because it's poisonous.
That word equals hallucinogenic fish inebriation.
What?
Isn't that a great term? I love it. And so the fish are called dream fish. And you can get high from the algae that the fish eat. So maybe it's not necessarily the fish that gets out. You could just eat the algae, I guess, or maybe the fish have to eat it first. I don't know. Last one. All right. So mulberry, which is also called shatut, is known shatut. Which is known for its antioxidant properties and many health benefits. But if you eat too much of it, what could potentially happen?
I mean, my first instinct is not going to be on brand. So I'm going to go with on brand being you could get high and maybe die.
I mean, that's one thing. Yeah, that could totally happen.
Other thing, I would say diarrhea.
Yep, that's definitely the one. That is too many berries has a
too many. Insert any preface berry.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Eating too many berries may have a laxative effect. Additionally, if you eat the unripe green fruit, that can cause nausea, cramps, and a hallucinogenic effect. But also, all part of the mulberry plant, besides the ripe fruit, contain a toxic milky sap. Yeah. Also, the name of my next sex album.
Toxic milky sap.
I also don't know what a sex album is, but that's what I'm making. Anyways, I just also love that it's called, I don't know, Shatut.
Shatut.
So that, yeah.
Shatut and the toxic.
You're going to eat your muscatoot and your newt muscat, or I think these could also be death metal bands. Norwegian death metal bands.
Newt muscat does sound like a death metal band, like from Denmark.
Yeah. Nude muscat. Fear the nude muscat. And then we're gonna go burn a church because that's what we do in death metal. Oh, poor nude muscat. All right, so that was foods that get you high. Dun dun dun.
It's a culinary high.
Oh, a culinary high. Oh.
There we go.
All right.
I did poorly at that. So you know that where my interests lie, apparently not in getting high on foods. I don't know. That's all I got.
You're a stand-up citizen, or
sure. That's not what I was going for. No.
Okay. So, Bobby, this goes back to Bobby and Dean. All right. So,
yes.
Bobby says to Dean, so the world is, you basically like reading back to Dean, so the world's a suicide case. We save it. It just steals more pills. And I'm just like, that is fucking dark and awesome.
It is. It is dark. And Dean, he's like, but Bobby's just trying to figure out, what the fuck is this new mentality? And it's a reasonable question when all they've ever done is try to save people and save the world. And then now Dean's like, fuck it. I mean, we'll try, but who fucking cares? Kind of an attitude. That's a big change in
it's becoming very nihilist. And also Bobby points out that this is very dangerous as a hunter, or I think just in any job where you could be physically in danger. If your brain and your heart's not in it,
right,
it's probably not I don't think this is because Bobby's just if you're a hunter and you get distracted like this, you're going to die. That's when you get eaten by a werewolf. Yeah. But I'm also just that's when you trip and fall off the telephone pole. That's when you slip and fall into the washing machine, whatever. You can just get distracted. What? I don't know how people die at work. I'm assuming someone tripped and died in the washing machine at some point.
I'm sure somebody has. It was just a really weird example. Thank you. So, yeah. But Dean's like, no, I'm fine. I just stopped thinking that it all matters. And Bobby's just trying to call him out. And he's like, look, you can't be like that. And that's basically it. That you just can't have that mentality. And he needs to find his reason to get back in the game, whether it's love, spite, or a $10 bet. And he's got to just get back engaged.
Yep.
And then Sam comes back. Sam had been out surveilling things, and they see black SUVs pull up. Guess who's there? We're finally going to have the intro, a real intro to Dick Roman, because all we've had so far is just the back of a limo with Crowley.
Now we get a montage.
Mm-hmm. And Bobby knows exactly who he is, because apparently Dick Roman is not just a dick and a guy that Crowley hates, but also this Dick Roman person that the Leviathan is now inside. Leviathan Dick Roman has been spent like the last very short period of time, like weeks. He was already a somewhat powerful business person, but now he's like insanely powerful, doing all these crazy like corporate takeovers and all this stuff. And the news ticker, as we're getting this like whole montage about who the fuck Dick Roman is, says the rise of Dick.
It does. It says the rise of Dick. They go whole hog with this. Like, so we get the rise of Dick. He wants to be a shark. I believe in merging and coming out on top. Then we get Dick with Joe Biden. Then Dick with Prince, one of them.
Terry. We got the NRA gets a shout out. George W. Bush. Clinton.
Yeah, and they just start doing like the Photoshop just gets like progressively worse as it goes through it. And like and by the end, it's just like they're just pasting his picture on shit. But there's like a hit with the rifle. I think I don't know. I have in quotes, and I don't remember where it was. Like Roman is ruthless but good looking.
Oh my gosh. And I like the comment where Crowley doesn't hate Dick in general. He hates Dick Roman. So Bobby's like, we got to figure this shit out. And so I've got this fancy ass toy from Frank's Big Brother collection, and we're going to eavesdrop.
Yeah, so that's a real thing, and you can buy them on the internet. And so, but like so there was like basically this idea of like eavesdropping by visual vibrations. So like what he's pointing at, like so there's like he either have like an audio amplifier or like what I think he was doing was getting sound through the glass. And so like researchers have like been able to do this by doing it like through like a plastic bag or like even they can get speech like by watching like a bag of potato chips. So, like, you could be talking next to a bag of potato chips, and then, like, basically, like, by looking at the way that your sound reflects off of that bag of Ruffles, like, we can hear it. They can hear what you're saying.
That's creepy.
Isn't that great?
That's cool, though. That's creepy.
Oh, so creepy, but do you want one, don't you?
I mean, kind of, yeah. So we cut to a scene in a house, and we see a woman, a kid, and a man just blankly like staring at the TV, eating their turducken slammers.
My dream life.
And the TV though is actually showing like full on like invasive eye surgery.
They're watching the surgery channel. Does the surgery channel still exist? I mean, I guess like the TLC still does it. Yeah, I mean,
I guess.
You never watched the surgery channel?
No. No.
It's what you do when you're really, not that I would know. I've heard that people do that when they're really high.
Okay.
So, but.
So this tracks with the theme here.
I heard once that people were watching that while they were on acid, and it was terrifying. I heard that.
That tracks. That tracks.
Yeah.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, we zoom out, and this isn't in somebody's home that things are just sad. This is a simulation inside the warehouse. Oh, and Grandma's in the side chair, and Grandma dead.
She's so dead.
She's dead, and no one cares. And they're being observed in the meat warehouse. WTF. And Dr. Gaines is explaining to Dick Roman that the additive makes people crave it more The first dose so it starts working on their DNA. They gain weight, it slows their metabolism, it dulls their emotions, and it makes them complacent. Huh.
There's a problem. If you leave the meat out for over an hour, it reverts back to its unappealing state.
Yeah, it's gross. But Dick's got he's got to share his philosophy, because he's like, you know what I love? Other than handball and a really crisp Chardonnay, progress. But he wants to know about the failures, and he's like, well, I want all complacency, but apparently there's a 0.03% adverse reaction, and that's where we get our crazy murdery effects.
Well, the crazy murdery effects is actually called hyperadrenalized cannibalism.
Yes,
and I really want to see the what would you call it? Like the oh damn, I'm gonna lose this joke. The pharmaceutical ad where they're going through the side effects, and they're this like side effects may include, rage, not noticing that your relatives have been dead, hyperadrenalized cannibalism.
Right. Yeah, no, I can definitely hear it. I can hear it. Yeah. And Dick Roman, though, doesn't like that there's been even this small variation or deviation or failure. So he wants to make it a teachable moment. And if you get the heebie-jeebies when you hear Dick Roman talking about a teachable moment, you would be reacting properly. So back outside, Sam and Dean are trying to listen in to what's going on inside while Bobby's still trying to set up the device, but they can't hear shit yet. But then Bobby sees movement in the meeting room. Oh. Well, we see Dick, and it's I guess his executive assistant, Olivia Chang is her name.
She could be chief.
I'm sorry, I lied. Susan.
Yeah,
Susan.
She could be chief operating officer. We don't know what her role is. You don't know.
She is Dick Roman's right hand. That's what we can tell.
Yes, she's chief of staff. Susan. There's a number of things Susan could be doing. Don't put her down. Not that there's anything wrong with being an executive assistant.
With being a secretary, but we just don't know.
She can be anything. Susan, you can be anything you want to be.
You be whatever you want, Susan. You evil Leviathan bitch. And basically they're talking about rescheduling a lunch with a senator. No big deal. And Dick's like, yeah, we're shutting this program down. We broke the golden rule. So Dr. Gaines like, don't make the papers. And Dick's like, no, that's not the golden rule. The golden rule is there's no such thing as monsters.
It's a pretty good rule.
It is. Anything contrary is bad for the overall plans. So they have to teach Dr. Gaines a lesson. And Susan pulls out a folded bib, like the one you wear when you go eat like lobster or something. Huh, that's weird. And she sits Dr. Gaines down and puts a bib on him because they want to make him his example. Well, he makes his Leviathan face and has to eat himself.
He eats himself.
What the actual fuck? That's the example.
I'm also
he's eating himself.
So now we know what bibbing is, but I'm also like, fuck you. I'm not going to eat myself. Like, how are you going to force me to eat myself? No, fuck you.
I don't know. That's what's weird.
I say no. Well, I say no to this, sir. But anyway, so apparently if you're a Leviathan, you cannot say no, and you eat yourself.
I guess not. Yeah, and Bobby's relaying this, but then he gets caught. Uh-oh. And he gets punched in the face and dragged away. So Sam and Dean have to go look for him, and he is gone. But they did see a janitorial truck pull up. So guess what they're going to do? Go right in after Bobby as janitors.
Well,
of course they are.
I think it was more about they were going to get the cleaning solution out of there. Not that they were going to go in as janitors.
I'm just saying that was what was implied at this moment.
Okay. I don't think okay.
But no, they didn't. They just went and got a shit ton of borax.
Yeah, okay.
So Dick and Susan are hanging out with Bobby, who's pretending to be unconscious in the office.
Smart.
Because he's smart. But Dick calls him out for faking. He's like, and by the way, you're not even tied up, but don't worry, you can't escape. So he's like, look at my new Sotheby's win. I got these really pretty matching pearl handle revolvers in a velvet box. It's just really random things to show off at this moment in time.
Yeah. So, and Susan gets reminded because, okay, she's still underneath him. And so she takes out the bib. And it was just, to me, that's very stressful. Because, like, all the little black dots, which I don't know if, like...
Wouldn't they just run off of that plastic?
Right? Like, off of that plastic onto the floor. And, like, that gives me such anxiety.
Would it smell? Like,
I don't know. Like, so Susan,
Susan,
you don't have to take this. You do not. You stand up to your boss.
You can be whatever you want.
Be Susan. You don't have to be a bib taker.
Well, Dick's going to pontificate to Bobby about how much about guns and the machine and the idea of them and how it's an inspired invention. And anyways, Bobby's like, look, I'm not really worth all your extra time. So, and Dick's like, don't worry, I'm going to eat you, but I want to be prepared for it. So don't worry because I know somebody's going to swoop in and try to save you. Bobby's like, no, Sam and Dean aren't going to swoop in. They're too smart for that.
Yeah.
They don't have the numbers to pull it off.
Yeah. So a couple of things about the gun before we get to the rescue thing. So these are actually like, did you look at them before? Yeah. So these are actual, old single shot revolvers. And so they open differently than like my revolver, you just like flip open and then you just like, burp, 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 burp. And with this one, like you have to like open it a certain way. And then like when you use it, you have to always have to pull the trigger and then the hammer. So they were like thinking they were going to have to, teach Dick Roman like all the stuff, but he was just like, oh no, I like old guns in my hobby. And he's like, pop, 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 pop. So like as he's like sitting there, like you watch him loading this gun as he's talking.
Yeah.
Like it's very natural. Like he's doing a really good job of loading this. Also, he does make this line, which I just thought was really, really bad, but just very well written. And so he's telling Bobby that the actual Dick Roman may have been worse. And then he's like, because he said, but like the late great actual Dick Roman used to say the horror as he'd kick out of the presidential suite. Oh yeah. Cute don't quite hack it, sugar. Yeah. Ow, that is fucked up. That is like one of the it's a super fucked up. Wow. Like I don't even think like you could have that line on TV now.
Oh yeah, you could, but maybe a bad guy only.
I know, but it's just like it's so like it's just very well written and very bad. Like for just a small line, like the emotional impact of it, it's like whoa shit.
I have a weird question that's just a total fan pontification question. There's like a weird implication, and I don't know if it's intentional, that Leviathans don't have any kind of sexual desire.
No, I don't think they do.
That's just my...
I don't think Leviathan fuck.
I didn't think that. I mean, because he doesn't give a fuck about the horrors. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think they're kind of. I also just think they're kind of genderless. And they're just not interested yet. Like. I don't know,
I just my observation after kind of just watching their interaction, because
I mean,
I'm not saying there has to be sexual tension, but you just don't see any even hint of it.
Well, maybe think about it like Leviathan being sort of like a snake-like monster. Like snakes aren't typically horny.
They aren't hey.
Like they're just not known to be horny, right? They're not the animal that we use as an example.
They aren't bunnies or dolphins.
We're not man, and then he opened his whatever the fuck that thing is, and then
weird mouth.
Well, no, the thing that the source of the sea that on the belly opens up and the penis comes out and there's one the badge. I don't know. Snakes aren't sexy. Sorry guys if you think snakes are sexy, but anyway, so maybe that's why.
We're talking about this while I'm wearing my snaky snake dress, but okay.
Well, right. Are you going to pop that open so we can sex your snake?
No, we're not.
No, so we're not sexing tan and snakes tonight.
No, I don't like real snakes very much.
I just like them on my clothes.
Ideas of snakes. All right, so while this is going down in the lab, Sam and Dean bust in, and are they dressed as janitors? No, they're not. But they've got giant spray bottles of borax.
They sure do.
And they are shooting up Edgar and all these other Leviathans in the warehouse. Wahaha. So Dick hears this commotion and leaves Bobby alone because he's so fucking confident that Bobby can't get away. And so Bobby starts digging through files, getting maps and schematics, and then loads a pistol and takes a file and a gun. And as he's trying to leave, Susan shows up and backhands him, but he just shoots her and slows her down.
Susan!
We know it won't kill her, but it slows her down. So, while this is all going on, Sam finally runs out of borax spray right when he's about to spray, while he's spraying Dick. So that's not good. And it sounds so bad.
It just does. It just does.
Spraying Dick. Spraying Dick.
So just spraying Dick. And Dick just wants you to know that is not how we communicate from a place of yes.
So Bobby's downstairs now, manages to shoot Dick in the back twice. But we know that that's not going to kill him. But Dean throws some borax on him, and they all run. Running.
We have a race to the van. Just very tension.
They're going to make it. They're getting out. It's great. But Bobby slows down because he wants to hit Dick in the face with a crowbar because he thinks he's getting too close. And it finally runs outside, and they all get in the van. And right then, Dick runs outside as the van's about to pull away and starts shooting. And the van peels out. I don't want to talk anymore. That's it.
And then the show's over. Goodbye.
That's it.
That's all that happens. And then Dinah finally realizes why Liz didn't want to watch this episode and why Liz has been warning her about this and the upcoming thing. So Sam tries to give Bobby his hat.
Yeah, which is weird that his hat's in the front seat, by the way. That part makes absolutely no sense at all.
I've seen it. I think in something I've seen the explanation of how that happens. But I guess he jumped in and
that's a stretch.
I don't know. The hat flew. I think this is one of those annoying things that fans ask at a convention. How did Bobby's hat get in the front of the van?
It's a stupid question too, but it's still dumb. Anyway, so they're like, "Oh man, that was a close one." And then Sam holds up Bobby's hat, and we see a bullet hole in the hat in the front, which is not good because we know he's wearing his hat forwards. And so we've got, as the van is driving very quickly, we've got Sam and Dean yelling Bobby over and over again.
That is stressful.
Very stressful. And the episode ends like that.
So stressful.
Very stressful. They didn't even get to stop any monsters, really. I mean, they killed a couple Leviathans, but the program was being shut down by the Leviathan Dick anyway.
Did they win friends?
No.
Did they influence the monsters? Maybe they influenced them. They're influencers. Monster influencers.
Oh, no, that's a stretch.
Oh, it's not like influencers. But anyways, so is there a casting couch?
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
There he is. We've got a couple of people to note this time. So we've got our Ranger Rick was played by Sean Rogerson. He had small parts in the Underworld Evolution films. He was in single episodes of Smallville, Fringe, a few episodes of Arrow, and he's a reoccurring character in this Hallmark film series called Signed, Sealed, Delivered. Susan was played by Olivia Chang. She's been in episodes of The 4400, Fringe, Flash, and Arrow. A lot of overlap. And then she's also in the Hallmark film series Signed, Sealed, Delivered. She was Master Gao in Deadly Class, which is a sci-fi series, as a regular. And
I'd like you to say it is a sci-fi. Okay, unfortunately, the sci-fi series that was canceled, but it was for one season, it was fucking amazing, and it had the most amazing.
No, I heard good things about it. I want to.
It has the most amazing '80s punk rock soundtrack that was ever made, and it's so good. And they canceled it.
Well, and then she plays Charlotte in See, which SEE. It's a show on Apple Plus with Jason Momoa.
She's awesome.
And then our last cast of note today is Brandon, our waiter, was played by Jason McKinnon. And you would have seen him in episodes of Fringe, The Flash, Wayward Pines, and Kung Fu. He's also an Irish worker in Night at the Museum, and he's done his little round of Hallmark Christmas movies. So,
oh man, at least like if anything, at least that crappy train keeps actors employed.
There we go.
When they can work.
I enjoy them. I like watching some of them.
I can't
I
can't anymore. There's too much of it. No. There's too much. I can't. Well, also, it's my mom, one of her things is the Hallmark Mystery Channel, and it's even worse.
Oh.
Like, they're all like, and it's like, and especially like the Hallmark Christmas movies, we're not gonna, I'm going off them for it, whatever. So this episode, yeah,
it was very fun, and then it wasn't. I stand by my assessment. It was a pretty fun episode with it's creepy as fuck. Don't get me wrong with the complacency sandwiches, but turducken complacency sandwiches. But it's also like it's interesting, like a interesting premise, and oh my gosh, there's a stakeout, and blah blah blah. And we're dealing with Dean going nihilist.
I mean, there's so much that they throw into this, right? I mean, because you've got Soylent Green, right? Soylent Green is people, but it's not people; it's goo. You have, the government has been infiltrated with lizard people. Although it's not lizard people, it's the snake people, but it's still the same thing. The government has been infiltrated with lizard people, right? So we've got that going on, so that's hilarious. Then we've got, just glampers hanging and becoming burritos. So, I mean, we've got burritos.
We got it all.
You got it all.
You got burritos, you got it
all.
If
you've got burritos, like, you're just fine, right?
You're fine. It's all fine.
Even with the burritos or Ranger Ricks. I think Evelyn's writing, it was really good. And it just, it was a fun episode. And it's just, this is the parts where, as a rewatcher, it gets hard. And I know, trying not to, kill things to Diana, are just sucks. I don't want to do this. Talk about it. I'm done.
I know. I'm worried about the next episode.
Yeah.
I am.
All right, so
apparently I should be.
Yeah, I'm just I don't know, maybe. It's gonna be great. It'll be super fun.
Sure, totally
super fun. I can't wait to do it. Yay! It will please tune in and listen to why listen to the show that we're just we will make it fun somehow. God damn it!
We'll find a way. We will find a way.
All right. With that, cheers, Dirk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.